look at those off the board and some intriguing names still on it. The news has been coming fast and furious regarding quarterbacks over the last 24 hours or so. So, Schefter, get us started there.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins had a 4-year, $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons. And again, this was going to come down to Atlanta and Minnesota. Let me say this. Minnesota had some serious talks with Kirk Cousins over the weekend, and I really thought that Minnesota was moving towards a deal when all of a sudden Atlanta stepped in with a 4-year offer in term length that I think swung the momentum back to the Falcons to get the deal done to bring Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. Baker Mayfield, 3-year, $100 million deal with the Buccaneers, which includes $50 million guaranteed, and he bet on himself this year on a 1-year deal, went into Tampa. Tampa didn't want to lose him. Atlanta would have been interested in Baker Mayfield if he didn't get a deal done. Once he went to Tampa, I think that made Atlanta maybe have to sweeten its offer a little bit more to Kirk Cousins. Well, we'll never know if that really was the case, but Baker is back in Tampa. As for other deals, Russell Wilson goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers will pay him $1.2 million this year, the veteran minimum, while the Broncos pay $37.8. So really, there is no risk for the Pittsburgh Steelers. No. Russell Wilson is expected to be, I think, the lead guy for the starting quarterback job in Pittsburgh. I don't think he goes there to back up Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you had to say who's the better quarterback, right?
He's going to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's talking about winning Super Bowls. He's not talking about backing up former first-round draft picks. And I think he should come as the starter.
We're talking about Cash Kings or Kirk Cousins. Russell Wilson's made almost $270 million. Now, they have been rebuilding Kenny Pickett behind the scenes. Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith flew down to South Florida to spend significant time with him to get on the same page. They like where they're at, but clearly they needed reinforcements. At worst, competition. At most, somebody with pedigree that can start right away. I'm told their meeting Friday in Pittsburgh at the facility was terrific. That they really vibed well with Russell.
By the way, so the Falcons have $100 million guaranteed on the table. Tampa Bay has $50 million guaranteed on the table, and Pittsburgh $1 million for a guy who's been to 2 Super Bowls. How do you like the fit with Arthur Smith in that offense?
I mean, you love it. You love it. Number one, they didn't have any other quarterbacks under contract, so they had to sign somebody. So look, I get this. This really falls right into Pittsburgh's wheelhouse. This is exactly the kind of signing that they're looking for. I think here, this is definitely. Look, I'm not one of those people. I don't care what Russ is talking about. I don't really care if he says, I want to win 5 more. Look, Russ talks about a lot of stuff. Okay, it's going to be about what happens in training camp and what happens on the football field. Russ better start playing on time in this offense. Russ needs to now start being one of those guys who understands that, look, not every play is a broken play. Not every play is one where you can run around and go over 3.5 seconds and then getting sacked 45, 50 times a season. That's not how Arthur Smith's going to want to play this. And quite honestly, if you look at Kenny Pickett's tape late in the year, once Matt Canada was fired and they went into Cincinnati, and Kenny Pickett had the best game of his career. When they started pushing the football down the field, he was playing on time. He was vibing with then he gets hurt. So look, I think this is going to be a true open competition because Pittsburgh's just not the kind of organization that just throws in the towel on somebody like that. They drafted this kid in the first round. I'm not saying he's going to win the job. Maybe Russ does win it. I just wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into what Russ is talking about until we see him on the football
field. So you have a vision of both the preseason. We're going to see Russell Wilson out there. And then we're going to see Kenny Pickett out there.
I don't look. Mike Tomlin does not come across to me as someone who's going to say, "Hey, Russ, you're the starter now, and Kenny, you're the backup." That's just not the way it's going to work out there.
But if there is a competition, clearly one at this point would have the edge, right? And that would be Russell Wilson.
Well, I think if Russell plays the way that he did last year, he'll be the starting quarterback. You know, we called their Week 18 game against Baltimore. I think one of the big takeaways we had was how much this offensive line had transformed in Pittsburgh. It was becoming this offensive line that they would be able to run the football with and protect. If we took the flaw of Russell Wilson, holding on to the football too long, trying to make every play a home run, if they can minimize that just a little bit and still run the football, create some play-action shots downfield, and we took his strength, which is not throwing interceptions, he does not do it, that's exactly the style that Mike Tomlin wants to play. And that's why I sit there and I like it from both parties because, you know, Russell is the quarterback that needs the run game to be where he is now and throw the ball downfield to George Pickens. And they want to play an efficient style of football. That's Mike Tomlin's MO is play clean, play clean, play clean, and in the fourth quarter make 2 or 3 plays. And God, I mean, I know there's this narrative about who Russell Wilson is. This is his last 4 years. Okay, there's one bad year. Other than that, the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting a guy in 3 out of his last 4 years that's top 12 in touchdown interception ratio for $1 million.
I think it's time that we could put a pause on this personal narrative about Russell Wilson and stop adjudicating his personality and just talk about him on the field. Why this is a good fit, not just for the Steelers, by the way, but why is it a good fit for him? Why was it a good choice? There are other teams that have quarterback needs.
Well, I would say this, that he's going to a team that he knows is going to play great defense every single year, number one. He's going to a team that he knows is going to want to run the football every single year. When you're running the football the way they are, when you're playing the defense that they are, sets him up for play action passes, rolling out, boots, swaggles.
There you go, Schefter. Swaggles. That's a new one, swaggles.
Quite honestly, look, when you think about
your point about the play action is well taken.
When you think about it from an athletic standpoint, him and Kenny are very similar in those ways, in terms of guys who you can change the launch points for them, guys who can create off schedule. Obviously, Russell is a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback. A guy who was won 1 and should have won 2.
If borderline.
So that's obvious, a feather in his cap. I think in terms of fit, though, look, the way Arthur's going to want to run this offense and the way Mike runs his program, I believe right now is exactly what Russell needs. And Arthur right now is exactly what Kenny needs. I think this will be an absolute firecracker of a competition.
Yeah, two quick things. Russell Wilson identified, I want a team that has consistently won, an infrastructure for winning. He gets that. And Kenny Pickett, the Steelers acknowledge, even to him behind the scenes, hey, we didn't do right by you. We didn't support you.
They know they didn't.
They know they didn't, and they've acknowledged that to him. So they have not given up on him. It's sort of a two-tiered thing. Hey, can Russell win it? Sure.
It's the best of both worlds. It's a great move. In the end, it's going to wind up being one of the better under-the-radar moves of the offseason.
And here's the reality. Yesterday morning, the Steelers realistically did not have a chance in that division. They do now.
And now they do.